So this is Man at the Bar. Yeah, so so this was recorded all um by Chris's sort of band, and his song, so he wrote it. So yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna have a little play of it. So well, before I do, I'm just gonna talk about, obviously I'll be talking about the static mix, the signal to noise ratio, decibels relative to full scale, dynamic range, headroom, EQ, compression, effects used, Melodyne, automation. I don't actually think I've used any Melodyne. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So yeah, we won't be talking about Melodyne. Yeah, and then what went well, what didn't, and what can be improved and stuff like that. So let's just have a quick listen.
Walks over with a smooth disposition, for a proud man's pride. He's a detective of perspective composition. The crowd is party for the stride. The bartender gets his attention. The charm is the cash that's paid. Well, I could tell you, but there's no need to mention. The bartender was a barmaid. Don't look, because you picked the man's crook. You can see the path he took.
Alright, cool. So we just had a little listen to that. Right, let's talk about the static mix. So what I've done with the track is basically I didn't record the drums. Chris recorded the drums. He recorded it in it was Studio One. So he recorded it in the Sundyne, and he only used 3 microphones. So yeah, we've got a kick. So the kick in, which playing it is just simply that. We've just got a snare, so I assume he just used the top snare, and we've just got a room mic, and that's it. So simply just a condenser mic that's just catching the whole drums. I'll be honest with you, the whole drums, he's put it on an auxiliary as well. So all of the drums he has over compressed. He said for the song he wanted to compress the drums quite a lot, so he did that. I'll be honest with you, I left the drums exactly how they were. It's what he's done with the compression. As you can see, it's extremely compressed. So yeah, I won't be really talking to you about that because I like the sound of the drums, so I just left them exactly how they were. Yeah, so I really like the sound of them, so yeah, I just left them how they were. So I've left how we put the volume. I may have raised it just a bit, like just some of it, like maybe the kick and just maybe the snare, and that's it. But that's all I've done. So static mix, so mix wise, just left them the faders out. When we get into the other stuff, so like the guitars and stuff, there's a lot of stuff down here that is not being used. There was all backing stuff, so just ignore all of this rubbish. So the guitars here, we recorded them quite. They really should be swapped over, shouldn't they? Yeah, I should really swap those over, those channels. So yeah, so all we've done is I've literally just reduced the volume of this. It's at 0 and it's quite loud, so I put it onto 5.8 and obviously panned it to the right. With the other guitar, which is like, so you're double tracking the guitar. Again, this was quite loud. It's quite distorted as well, so what I've done is I've just panned it down. I've just put the volume down to 8.6 and panned it to the left. The other stuff, the bass, I've literally, because we recorded it through the Messer again, really nice sound, but really loud, and I've had to put it down to 3.4. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably could put it down a lot lower because it is extremely loud in the track. The vocals.
This cope was detective of perspective composition. The crowd is party for the stride.
All I've done with the vocals is we recorded them, but
charm is the cash that's paid.
They were quite low in volume wise, so what I've done is I've increased the volume, especially on the fader. So like you say, with the double track on it to slightly pan to the left by minus 26, is plus 2.8 decibels as well, because it was quite recorded. I don't know, just the way we recorded it, it was how Chris sort of wanted it. Wanted a bit of a quick take, so we recorded it like that. And the same with the other double track vocals as well. I've just increased that by 1.6 if you can hear.
Because you think the man's a crook, you can see the path he took and the women that he shook. Bizarre. Is this facade from afar? Cigarettes and not cigars. You get the name of the man at the bar.
So as you can hear, it's like obviously I've decreased the volume. If I unsolo them, you can see how they sound with the whole track. I feel they're quite. Like I said, I feel they're quite quiet. Do you know what I mean? I could maybe turn the guitars down, but I feel, you know what I mean, if I can turn the vocals up, why not just turn the vocals up? Do you know what I mean? So yeah. And with the screams, you've got the screams. Yeah. It was on 1.4. There we go. So with the screams, I recorded them very low because personally, I'm not really big on, you know what I mean. It wasn't my idea, so yeah, we recorded the screams and literally I've just increased the volume because when I recorded it was quite low, so I've just literally put an increase of 3.2. They wanted it louder, like Hatman and Chris said maybe you should put it louder, so I put it a bit louder because otherwise I'll put it really low in the mix. The woos literally have just been increased just by 1.4 decibels, so yeah, that's all I've really done on that. Right, cool. So right, let's talk about signal to noise ratio. So as you can hear with the main probably example on this is like you can hear a lot of it's very compressed noise, do you know what I mean, which that's probably the best example of the signal to noise ratio in the track. I haven't used any noise gates really, not at all, so I don't know, you could probably listen to the guitar. Again, with most of our tracks, we've got quite a lot of guitars playing. So we've got one bass in the middle. So back on to like the static mix. We've got this one really low down. Do you know what I mean? With a lot of sort of plugins on. And the others quite sort of plain, giving, do you know what I mean, pad left and right. This is sort of in the middle, sort of the body of the track. So with a lot of the tracks when we record the guitars, we basically did that because I thought we triple tracked them a lot, so the guitar in the middle is giving it a bit of backbone, so it's, you know what I mean, you can hear the rest of the guitars playing as well. So yeah. So signal to noise ratio, that's really the best example I can sort of explain in this track. Really, yeah, to be honest with you, we didn't use a gate, like a noise gate. So yeah, DBFS. I don't know, it's hard to explain. So there isn't really a quiet bit in the track, really. That's what I mean. So, if I'm honest, yeah, there's not really a quiet bit in the track, so it's a bit hard to sort of talk about the difference between the loudness of the like certain bits of audio and the quietness. So it's a overall just quite a loud track. The dynamic range again, an overall loud, quiet track. Unfortunately, I mean the drums are overly compressed, but that is exactly how Chris wanted this song in a way. So he wanted this song. Because he's half sort of produced this song, so he wanted the drums compressed, and I said, you know what, it sounds good. I like the fact they're overly compressed, but yeah, it's maybe a bit too much on the dynamic range, so it does shorten it down and make it a very sort of a bit compressed sort of track. Really, you're getting most of the volume from the guitars, and most of sort of, you know what I mean, I reckon, well, the dynamic range from the guitars really. So yeah, Headroom with the drums, like especially the room mic, he's reduced. He must have recorded this extremely loud, as you can see, because when we're putting this up to back to 0, it's like on +6. So you mean yeah, he's literally just left this in the room and just recorded it and then dropped it down because it was at like 13.2 or something. But it still does peak a little. Headroom on the thing. I think I put an equally enough headroom on the drum auxiliary. It does go a bit mental. He's increased the drum auxiliary by 1 point. I think I did. Yeah, no, I think I put them on an auxiliary because it would just be easier. Overall, I think the headroom on the guitars is very good. Like again, when we record the guitars, it's good, and the woos and the vocals. So yeah. So right on the EQ, I don't really know what Chris has done. So Chris has basically done what he wants to do on the EQ, and he's put a compressor on the tube tech as well. So that's what he's done on the drums. I'm not really going to explain much about that because I don't know what he's done or how he's done it, and don't know what sound he wanted. So yeah, it seems to So I'm not really going to explain that. I'm going to explain what I did. So for instance, this guitar here that you can hear in the background, that's quite low down. It's panned obviously slightly to the left. But it's down by 3.2. We increase it. It's quite it's quite recorded low volume anyway. EQ wise, I've got loads of the dirt out from the lows and the highs. Reduced obviously the 500 hertz and unwanted noise that I just didn't really like as well. Again, some unwanted noise there. Is it gonna? You have to wait to load it up. There we go. You know what I mean? It was, some unwanted noise I just wasn't too keen on, so reduce it there because it's quite. They put a distortion on the amp, so it's quite distorted, so you get quite a sort of fuzzy sort of sound, and we wanted to reduce that in a way. So yeah. And again, I've used this tube tech. A bit of compression on the guitar. I mean, if you look at it, it's minuscule. Really should talk about it when I'm talking about compression, but yeah. So on this EQ, I've literally just used this and boosted some things up. This is really, again, my creative EQ. I like using the tube tech as my creative EQ, and then obviously the Logic parametric EQ as my creative. So yeah. So that's what I've done on that guitar. Let's go on to this guitar. It's the same thing really. It's the same thing. So like I said, reduce the dirt on the sides on the creative EQ. Logic being slow again. And then obviously this is my creative EQ, and it's exactly the same with the other guitars as well. With the bass, now I've reduced some of the. I could really leave that in. I don't know why I keep on doing that. I don't know why. Don't know why. Because really, that's quite low down. I could probably get rid of that. Do you know what I mean? It's not doing. Yeah, I could probably leave that off. Do you know what? I'm going to leave that off. I could probably reduce that down just a bit, maybe. Actually, no. Do you know what? I think that's a bit too far. Actually, maybe leave it like there because it gives it some sort of fuzz and some sort of flavour. Again, just removing some unwanted sounds I don't want. And this is the EQ that obviously I've done my creative EQ, so it's the sounds that I like and want in the actual mix. I've put a bit of compression on. This is probably out of all the tracks, I've put the least compression on this bass for the simple reason it's quite a sort of I'd say sort of grungy, sort of rocky sounding, sort of distorted, you know what I mean, track. So I wanted the bass a bit crunchy. So when recording it on the Mesa, we did make it a bit more crunchier rather than sort of a bit more softer. And I've used little compression on this again. I mean, on this bass, just to give it that more sort of crunchy, in a way, distorted sound. So with the double track vocals, I've literally just got rid of some of the sounds I don't want and got rid of some of the dirt and stuck a little bit of compression on. I'll talk about that later on. And the same with the double track vocals as well. So yeah, the woos, I think I've EQ'd the woos. Yes, I have. So I've EQ'd the woos just to sound just quite high, actually quite low actually. But yeah, so I've EQ'd them just to sound a bit low, just to sound a bit nicer really. Yeah. So overall, that's what I've really sort of done EQ wise. Not massive. Only it sort of is, but just clearing out some of the dirt. I like the song to be, sound raw, and you know what I mean. Which is what I wanted from the start. So compression. So Again, I'm not really going to talk about the compression that he's done on the drums because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know what he's done on the drums in a way. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So what I talk about the compression on the guitar. So I don't really use compression on guitars because for the simple fact is I don't want them to sound too over compressed. But I used it on this, which is sort of like the guitar that's in the middle because it's quite distorted. So it does sound quite crunchy in a way. Just can you hear that crunch? You know, can you hear the sort of the fuzz in a way? So it's quite distorted. So we take the compression off, and I put it on. You can't really, if I'm honest, you can't really hear a massive difference, but I feel it just makes the sound just a bit softer. Again, fast attack, fast release. Probably a bit more gain than it may be needed. Ratio I've sort of left in the middle really. I didn't want too much, I didn't want too little. So I just sort of left it in the middle really. Just gonna put that back down. Yeah, so right, that's the EQ. Right, so let's go on to the bass. So I always compress my bass. Always. But again, like I said before, this is probably the one bass which I put minimal sort of compression on in a way. Or actually no, it's sort of hitting 2, so it's actually quite the same as the others. So I always put the compression on the bass, but not that much. I might actually have to reduce that, to be honest with you, because again, it might be a bit too little and we want it a bit crunchier. You see what I mean? It sounds a bit loud. I can reduce the volume though. There we go. So again, like I said, I want the bass to sound a bit crunchy, so nothing, I think when compressing bass, unless you want it really compressed, I wouldn't go anything above sort of 2, 3 is probably a bit too, or maximum, do you know what I mean? But anything under 2 I think is okay for compression wise on bass. So yeah, double track vocals, so I've only compressed literally the left side of the double track, so the double track that's been panned to the left. I only compressed that just a bit. If I'm honest with you, I could put more compression on it. Which probably makes it sound a lot more softer and a lot more sort of cleaner in a way. But I mean, I don't want to put that much compression. I think that is probably about alright. Do you know what I mean? I think. Cause you think the man's a crook, you can see the path he took, and the women that he shook. Bizarre. You see what I mean? I think that's fine. I think that's fine. A lot of makeup gain though, like I said, because we recorded it quite low. So yeah, quite minimal on the ratio. Fast attack and fast release. But that's yeah. The other double track vocals I haven't got. I was thinking of putting a compressor on it, but I thought, you know what? I thought, no, let's just leave it dry. Let's leave it sort of raw. So you've got a sort of mixture of sort of soft, sort of raw sort of sound. So I've left it off there. So yeah. And the woos, I've put a lot of compression on the woos because I wanted them just completely compressed down, as you could see when I played it. So yeah. So yeah, a lot of compression really, just so I just want to, because it's a woo, I want a lot of compression. I put a fast release, fast attack on it. I could probably put more compression on it really, but ratio wise. But no, I think it sounds alright there because I put. Cause it's quite loud. It's quite loud anyway. So if I take it off. Like, turn the threshold down. Woo! 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 Yeah. Because it's quite loud anyway. I want to soften the sound out. Woo! Yeah. That's what I mean, because it's quite a loud sound anyway, so it's gonna give it a lot of compression anyway. Woo! You can't really hear it massively because it is a woo, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think it sounds alright. I like it like that. So let's talk about the effects I use. So the effects I've literally just done again a reverb, auxiliary channel, space designer, simple sort of. Like, I've just cut it down just sort of quite sharply there, as you can see. only because I just want it quite sharp sort of reverb. Only down just by the waveform, like the waveform just literally just like that. And I sent it on the bus to bus 3, only 22. I even think the double track might have a little bit too much vocals
Like this is
reverb
to
on.
be found in jail.
But I think it's enough to be heard, and it's alright.
Unless authorities and justice systems they fail.
Which I think sounds alright, yeah. I think that's the only effect I actually used for that whole track. I'm looking everywhere and trying to think. Yeah, that is the only effect I've used. Yeah, that's it. So I only used one effect, which was reverb. Melodyne, no, didn't use Melodyne at all. I didn't think there'd be any point using Melodyne on his vocals. I like them sounding raw. I think they sound good. When we listened to it back, I was happy with it. That's it. I didn't want to Melodyne it. I just think it sounds good. I just think it gives it some sort of originality, and it doesn't sound so sort of, you know what I mean, in a way sort of auto-tuned. So automation, yeah, no, there isn't really anything. Oh no, there is. Tell a lie. So this is automation that's done on the guitars. I don't think I did this. No, this isn't the track. This? Oh wait, I don't remember doing this automation. Oh no, this. Yeah, sorry. This is automation on the previously recorded stuff. So yeah, don't ignore that. There is no automation on the actual finalized sort of finished track. Yeah, no, there's no automation at all. So right, okay. So what went well? What went well? Basically, recording the guitars went well. Double tracking the vocals was really good, even though the signal was quite low. We didn't use Melodyne. I think it was good. I think it was interesting. Do you know what I mean? It sounds raw. There's not a lot of effects on each sort of instrument or channel, so I think it just sounds a lot more raw. But then you still got the compression which he's used on the drums. I think, you know what I mean, he's used it as an effect, do you know what I mean, to get sound overly compressed. It sounds very interesting, and then you've got the sort of the live sort of original guitars, the big sort of open guitars, and the live sort of original sort of vocals, you know what I mean. But yeah, he didn't, when we recorded, he didn't want to record so straight into the mic, so he stood a couple sort of, I'd say, maybe a foot away from the mic, or maybe half a feet, so it does sound sort of, you know what I mean, that he's not fully, you know what I mean, singing it, you mean, yeah, because he was standing about a couple of, I don't know, like about half a foot away, so yeah. Right, so what didn't, probably, you know what I mean, probably recording some of the effect, like some of the like the woos and the yeah. I personally don't like them in the track. I think they just sound a bit weird. Well, not weird, I just don't like the yeah, you know what I mean, it's a bit grungy in a way, not really my sort of cup of tea, but it's alright. Recording them was a bit of a challenge because you had to just turn the microphone extremely down, quite low, so that was a bit of an ag. So yeah, recording that, but overall all good. What could have been improved? I would put some delay on his vocals. I put the delay on the vocals, the double track vocals that are not haven't got any reverb on, so not these ones. So this one, I put some delay on it, and I think it would sound quite good actually. I don't know. Let's stick some delay on it actually now.
The charm is the cash that's paid. Well, I could tell you, but there's no need to mention. The bartender was a barmaid. So don't look. Because you think the man's a crook, you can see the path he took and the whim that shook. Bizarre. Is this facade for a bar? Cigarettes and not cigars. Get the name of the man.
Yeah, that's why I like personally putting stuff on a bus, for the simple fact I can put how much I want on the bus. So just naming it delay, and then I can make the sound that I want. I'll put some delay on it. I can make the sound that I want, and literally I can just change it.